Man, you ever listen to someone's music and within the first 30 seconds you're like, yep, this dude is for sure a serial killer? Yeah, bro, there's levels to this crash out activity, and it's looking like rising Chicago drill artist Lil Scoom89 was trying to make the Hall of Fame of the crash dummies.
Yeah, nigga, fuck Lil Rob, nigga, fuck Monty. Y'all know how the fuck we coming. Hey, look, y'all know how the fuck we coming. Scone.
I've never seen someone going around dissing damn near every neighborhood on the map and live to tell a tale. And unfortunately for him, it seems like one of those hoods didn't take too kindly to his dissing, and bro got smoked early yesterday morning, man.
With breaking news, we've learned a teenager has died. Another is hurt after a shooting in Chatham.
It's a crazy losing an up-and-coming artist who is making waves in the city, but it's even crazier knowing that that same person was an associate of another extreme crash out who had made nationwide fame, who also got smoked less than a month ago too, man. Today we gotta talk about the situation on the east side of Chicago, where buzzing rapper Lil Scoom89 was gunned down in a wild incident that apparently even has suspects in question shooting back at the cops on some 5-star GTA shit, bruh. This is very real life. This is not a game. This all really happened. Even though Chicago is no stranger to this type of activity going on, with apparently over 100+ shootings going on in just the 4th of July weekend. His death comes to a surprise to many. Bro was making moves with his music. He wasn't just some straight shooter. Like, bro was getting flown to LA to work with Sony Music and other labels, and apparently signed to Columbia after only rapping for just 10 months. On top of this, bro was really part of a movement on the east side, being close with another infamous shooter who we previously covered on this channel, Bloodhound Lil Jeff. But if anything, this just shows how crazy these gang ties get in the city, because both of these promising artists were gunned down just days apart from each other, man. Today, we gotta get into the beef that got Lil Scoom gunned down right now. But before we do, I'm gonna need you to do something for me, man. We on the road to 100K subs, so make sure you'll tap in, hit that subscriber button. I know there's mad of y'all watching that don't be subscribed, so make sure you drop everything you're doing right now, whatever you're doing. If you're rolling up, drop that shit right now. If you're drinking up right now, drop that shit right now. I'm gonna need you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so whenever I post, y'all tune in. And make sure you check out the merch link in the description at staysafeworld.com, and hit that Instagram at staysafeworldorder, man. Let's tap in right now. Let's get into this. There's been a lot of different narratives coming out of this incident, so it's important we break everything that went down and everything that we know right now. Gotta start from the jump to even truly understand. You know, at first people were saying that bro got backdoored and shit. I mean, it's very possible, but we're gonna get into everything from the jump so you can even understand. So Lil Scoom was a rising Chicago drill artist. As you can tell by his name, Lil Scoom is from the 89th Street of the East Side section with the intersection with South Burley Ave. This is the infamous area for having a clique called the Burley Boys, based out of that area, you know, from the 87th to 89th near Germana Mills apartment project. The Burley Boys are a clique of BPS, Black P Stones, also known as GME. The Black P Stones are one of the original gangs within the city of Chicago, dating all the way back from the 1950s civil rights movement. Obviously, as generations have come and went, the original mentality of starting an organization to defend the neighborhood against racist people turned into something completely different. And with the rise of drill music and drilling, these organizations became criminal enterprises that we know of today, called nations. Obviously, as it goes without saying, being known as a gang for the last half a century will have you gaining a lot of enemies, and the Burley Boys definitely had a lot. At the same time, they were known for clicking up with other well-known east side gangs like NLMB, you know, where G Herbo's from, and Drill City, where Bloodhound Lil Jeff, Q50, and Bert are all from. It goes without saying though that the clicking up or being cool with these groups will have you sharing ops, but you know what they say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And inheriting the beef that the Drill City had would explain why Lil Scoom was into it with gangs like BKN, who are out west, and Trap City, a notorious gang on the intersection between the east and south side, supposedly responsible for the death of Bloodhound Lil Jeff. You see, Lil Scoom was known to have close ties with members of Drill City, apparently being the cousin of Bert and just being really close to them. At the same time, GME had issues with the infamous KTS since like 2013-ish, which would explain why they were cool with NLMB, who have a long and bitter documentary documented war with KTS. You know, y'all probably know about that. KTS Vaughn and all of them getting murked and all that. Despite all the non-stop round-the-clock killing and self-snitching that goes on between these gangs and allies, the most prominent beefs that could play a role in Lil Scoom's death would most likely be attributed to his ongoing beef with Risky Road, a group of four-corner hustlers from the intersection of 104 and Maryland Ave. This was definitely the most active beef that the Burley Boys had, with both sides trading disses and Lil Scoom even going as far as dissing a fallen member, basically implying that he was responsible for the death.
Man, bro, I seen 30 get hit in his head. He ain't know he was hit. He was. I seen 30 get hit in his. Yeah, he didn't know he was hit. He was already dead on my dead cousin. His goofy ass.
Even despite all these people dissing Lil Scoom though, he was able to come up in the city and make waves, which is honestly a surprising feat in itself. Being in that section on the east side, no other rappers were really making motion for a number of years. But in the last couple months, one rapper in particular would gain nationwide attention from his crash out tendencies, and Lil Scoom would be right by his side, which we will get into right now. Lil Scoom is not one of those dudes who was rapping his whole damn life and had nothing to show for it, but was really part of a movement of young dudes from the east side that took their city by storm, from a combination of doing drills and bragging about it on social media and actually releasing pretty good music. While he had his own music, I definitely feel like all the eyes being on one fried shooter who was close with him definitely played a large role to his fame. Legendary shooter himself, Bloodhound Lil Jeff, you know, we've covered him on the channel previously. You see Lil Scoom, like I said, was cousins with Vert, who was Bloodhound Lil Jeff's right hand man, and Jeff and them were once part of the infamous Trap City gang in the city and basically made a name for themselves starting there. But a disagreement after one of their closest friends named Zaire was killed and backdoored eventually caused a break between the two groups. This resulted in the Bloodhounds joining Drill City and becoming mortal enemies with Trap City. Lil Scoom, being loyal to Bloodhounds like Jeff, Vert, and Q50, sided with them and made sure to diss Trap City every time he got. As time went on top of focusing on drilling, these dudes became actually focused on music and started to gain a little bit of buzz in the city. You could see old hood vlogs with Lil Scoom posted up in the background with Lil Jeff and all the Bloodhounds, which was getting a lot of views. Obviously, this would make him a target in the long run, but the Bloodhounds were dissing on a crazy level that was sort of getting nationwide eyes on them, so you know, they just kept going. This was definitely helping his music career too, because in the short matter of time, bro went from just an underground shooter in the background of these hood vlogs to taking trips out to Cali with Lil Jeff and having label meetings with Sony Records and eventually signing to Columbia. I'm not necessarily saying that Lil Jeff had a huge part in making bro, but he definitely played a large role. But as Lil Scoom was having his own problems in the city, Jeff was going around doing drills left and right, on camera, off camera, wherever, and this was actually playing a role in the neighborhoods that Lil Scoom would diss. You see, Jeff was infamous for straight catching hats, starting with his get back against Trap City when he allegedly had something to do with Trap City member Lil getting shot in an Uber in Little Italy.
Very busy sidewalks here in Little Italy. You often have people walking to restaurants, bars, and stores, and last night was no different. Unfortunately, a young man lost his life. Chicago police investigating a fatal shooting yesterday evening. 19-year-old Jaleel Goins was pronounced dead at Rush University Medical Center, but police and nearby residents tell us the incident began in the 1300 block of West Taylor Street, where Goins was a passenger in a rideshare and was shot. Then the rideshare driver drove Goins to the hospital.
Then Jeff went full John Wick mode when he got on his bust down watches stolen and allegedly murked two teens outside of their high school who apparently had something to do with it.
Gunman who shot and killed two teenagers right in the middle of the loop during the busy lunch hour yesterday. The victims were leaving their high school. CBS 2's Noel Brennan has more on the investigation.
The teens made it only steps away from the front door of their school. Near Wabash in Washington, Chicago police say two teens are shot. 17-year-old Monterio Williams and 16-year-old Robert Boston. The teens leaving Innovations High School as a dark sedan pulls up. At least one person gets out, runs up to the teens, and opens fire.
From the out west gang called BKN. Scoom would definitely apply pressure to and pull up to BKN's hood, dissing them with the ratchet out. However, soon after, Lil Scoom and all the Bloodhound affiliates would take the biggest L when their top shooter, Bloodhound Lil Jeff, will be gunned down in an apparent drill gone wrong in Trap City, putting an end to his meteoric rise in the drill scene in a wild, broad day shooting that was actually captured on a Ring camera. It looked like the Bloodhounds had pulled out to surprise Trap City, but when Lil Jeff tried to rush them around a blind quarter, an op was waiting for him and gunned him down in the spot in self-defense. Lil Scoom wasn't there, but this big loss definitely played a role in his future mentality with his own ops. But obviously, even though bro had shared enemies on that front, there were people much closer to home that apparently wanted him dead too. Which brings us to chapter 3, Risky Road. Risky Road is a group from the 104th and South Maryland Ave part of the city. They're pretty much EBK in that area and have been at it with the Burley Boys and Lil Scoom for a minute. They really on some crazy shit, even apparently going as far as having beef with members of O-Block like Shoebox Baby, claiming to have pistol whipped him back in the day. Well, they have been the most active dissing Lil Scoom and damn near claiming to have something to do with it after his passing. The real reason they most likely had beef in the first place is probably the relationship that Scoom had with someone else who had problems with Risky. MAF Tski, another rising drill artist from the 99th and Princeton area, was much closer to Risky Road and had a constant issue with them for years now. I've legit seen them dissing for the better part of a half decade, even at one point getting into it with his ops while being out in LA. I don't even know how that happens. Like, how do y'all even come across each other out in a whole different city? I'm pretty sure y'all most likely seen the viral video where his ops ran into him in LA and there was pretty much nothing happened. I remember seeing that a couple years ago. But oftentimes, Chicago gangs can be intertwined webs of connections and alliances, which could lead to others getting caught in the mix too. You know, this is how Lil Scoom kind of got into it with YFG Fatso, who just through a web of affiliations that had his set being at odds with the A-Train mob, YFG Fatso being cool with the A-Train mobs, you get how that could happen, and then they were dissing too. It's a whole laundry list of people that were dissing other people. Regardless of how they became at odds, it seemed the end result is always gonna be the same, you know? People dying, and then the everlasting cycle of violence continues until everyone in the gang are either in dead or in jail. Judging by the crazy shootout numbers in the city of Chicago, it doesn't seem like there will be an end to this anytime soon. It definitely doesn't help that several months before Lil Scoom's death and a now infamous IG Live, bro went into detail and dissed Risky Road after his friend Lil Jeff's passing. Bro went as far as saying that he saw one of the members of Risky, a fallen member by the name of 30, having his neck exploding from a bullet in first person. In hindsight, it was probably better not to put that out into the world when you're really outside. And when looking at members of Risky Road pretty much publicly claiming to have something to do with the shooting, it's safe to say this is going to be a long summer. We're going to get into the whole aftermath, but for right now, we got to get into the incident in question, the shooting itself that took out Lil Scoom.
With Afro getting on brown complexion, he received 2 GSWs to the chest and 1 GSW to the arm. This is the one who was found by the car. He also has a Boondocks tattoo with Riley with a halo and a scripture on his left arm.
We start here with breaking news. We've learned a teenager has died. Another is hurt after a shooting in Chatham. It happened around midnight, right near 89th and Langley. Police are telling us the 2 teens got into an argument with someone who shot both of them. The 18-year-old died at the hospital. The 16-year-old is expected to recover.
There's been a lot of conflicting things happening since Lil Scoom was taken out that have many people believing that there was a lot of different people behind this shooting. It probably doesn't help that bruh had enough ops to go around, but some real details we do know, however, is that whoever shot him is apparently not even the aggressor in the situation. You know, Lil Scoom was apparently the aggressor in the situation. Scoom was posted up on the 700 East 89th Place area of Chatham, which, if I'm not mistaken, is very close to Drill City's territory. Bro's first mistake was being posted up at that time at around 11:59 p.m. Really up to no good. You know, nothing really good in Chicago happens after like 9 p.m. Apparently over there at this time, him and one of his young shooters were just leaving what witnesses described as an Uber or a friend's car and noticed someone on the block posted that they didn't recognize, or they might have recognized him and just didn't like him or something like that, because according to Trench's News, who spoke to witnesses, they either knew the person or had an idea of who the person was because they went up to him and tried to press him. That's when an argument basically ensued, and I feel like you shouldn't really be trying to press nobody sitting in an eerie, desolate block on the south side of Chicago, you know, especially at around midnight. But unfortunately for Scoom, the dude they pressed was the wrong one. A shot spotter soon after recorded several shots in the area of 700 East 89th Place at around midnight, and then police came to check on the incident and found Lil Scoom dead, shot 2 times in the chest and 1 time in the arm. The person in question though apparently began shooting at police when they pulled up. Needless to say though, the cops backed off. The person was actually able to get away. Since then, there hasn't been any subject that was arrested, and bro actually probably got away from this. In the aftermath though, the police discovered that that young teen had been shot several times, and Lil Scoom has been shot around 4 times, twice in the chest, once in the arm, and unfortunately passed from his injuries. The other teen though apparently still lived and is still alive right now. You can already tell that someone as big as this in the shooter community, with all the ops that he had, is going to have every op and their grandma pretty much dissing his passing, saying they're smoking on him, saying go pick up your dad or whatever. It just goes to show the impact of him and the people around him, like the Bloodhounds, had on their neighborhoods. They were straight terrorizing these folks, and they were that happy when the dude died, man. It seems like these type of crazy shooters though, it's not usually the ops that are even the ones that get the satisfaction to slide and kill them. It always seems like they are their own biggest enemies. You know, you look at Bloodhound Lil Jeff, he was his own enemy, thinking he could go full John Wick and take people out, you know, biting more than he could chew. You look at Lil Scoom, bro was the aggressor in the situation, thinking he could pull up and just press whoever, whenever, wherever he is. It is not necessarily that the ops killed these dudes, but it seems like poor decision making killed these dudes. These dudes were put into positions by themselves that could have otherwise been completely avoided if they were just trying to not be all extra out. But I guess that's what really they were living, and that's what they were rapping about, and they were really living the life that they portray in the disses. While a lot of people have been dissing, there's been a lot of people also showing love, surprisingly. You know, Q50 to even the people back out in Cali that he was tapped in with, you know, Kendrick Lamar's homie, Hidda J3, even posted a tribute for the fallen Chicago demon. This just goes to show that bro had an impact on the scene and in the streets, that he will go down a legend. Whether it was for a good reason or a bad reason is up to debate. But for him, people love him, people hate him. Bro just made a name for himself out of nothing. So that should be some reason to kind of celebrate his life, you know, even though bro was definitely a super extra out killer and everything like that. But you got to give respect to the fact that bro made it out of the dirt and had nothing, turned it into something. He used whatever lemons he had and tried to make lemonade, even though the lemonade was like some homicidal street rage. Bro still made a name for himself. But hey, let me know in the comments what y'all think about this whole situation. It's crazy, right? Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what y'all think about this and what's going to happen to the whole scene on the east side of Chicago, man. Let me know your thoughts, man. Real say shit. You already know what's going on. Like, comment, subscribe, man. You already know. Peace.